If you're like most people, you're probably not real happy with what's happening on the political scene. I want to share with you something you can quietly do to make a difference, something different than what you might suspect. Hi, I'm Dwight Clow, and I believe that our world is messed up, but God is fixing things and we get to help. And the first step to fixing our world is fixing ourselves, and we need to find God's grace to do that. Okay, first of all, a disclaimer. This video might make you angry. It might, it might make you angry at me. I hope it doesn't. It's not my intention, but I just thought I should let you know up front. And speaking of anger, it seems like anger is everywhere. You know, we look at our screens, we listen to our devices, and what do we see? What do we hear? We see protesters and counter-protesters screaming and yelling at each other, and sometimes these demonstrations bubble over into violence. And what I see when I look at this is a thinly disguised dress rehearsal for a civil war. We're told again and again that the enemy, that is, the political party you vote against, the enemy is responsible for one injustice after another, and that the enemy must be stopped at all costs, or the world as we know it will end. You and I have been so conditioned to anger by our culture that it's hard to imagine that there could be an alternative. And it's hard to stop and figure out what game they're really playing. Do you know who loves it when you and I are angry? For starters, the media loves it. Our anger brings us back to the screen for more. It translates into views, ratings, money. It fuels a nationwide addiction to their brand of journalism. It puts money into the pockets of journalists and commentators, and the more angry they can get us, the happier and wealthier they become. Do you know who else loves it? Politicians love it. Our anger translates into votes. Many, not all, but many politicians love power, and they will happily surf the tide of our anger into greater and greater power, if we let them. Without anger, there would be no Hitler, no Stalin, no Mao. They needed the anger of ordinary people like you and me to work their way into power. The more anger, the happier a tyrant is. But Dwight, I hear you say, what about the injustices in our world? And yes, you're right. There are injustices, glaring injustices, and most of them, understand this, most of them you and I know nothing about because they don't fit the narrative of the people who are trying to control how we think and how we vote. But do you know who's angry about all of these injustices? God himself. That's right. But Dwight, I hear you say, if God is angry, shouldn't we be angry too? Not exactly. And this is where we stumble. Again and again, the Bible warns us not to take our unfiltered human anger out into the world and attempt to do something good with it. It won't work. It will backfire. It will create more problems than it will solve. Let me give you some examples of those biblical warnings. Do not fret because of those who are evil. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. Mockers stir up a city, but the wise turn away anger. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. I want men everywhere to pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or disputing. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. For as churning cream produces butter and twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Love is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger. So those are just a few examples of the Bible warning us not to fall into the trap of anger. But what do? We're confronted with injustice, and the only possible human response is anger. What do? Well, we take that anger to God. And let me show you how to do that. Fill in the rest of this sentence. God, I'm angry because. And then fill in the blank. God, I'm angry because. And just pour it all out. Let God know about all that you're angry about, upset about. And then follow it up with, what do you want me to know? And then wait. And what you're waiting for is two things. You're waiting for peace and you're waiting for clarity. When you finish doing business with God, you will walk away with inner peace. If you don't walk away with inner peace, you're not done. You need to stay with God and continue the conversation until you walk away with inner peace. And if you don't have that inner peace, you're not ready to do anything. But once you do have it, God will give you a clear idea of what He wants you to do. Maybe He wants you to volunteer. Maybe He wants you to start a ministry or a movement. Maybe He wants you to pray or to give money to a person or an organization. Maybe He wants you to do exactly nothing. Just rest in the assurance that God has seen what you've seen. He knows what to do, and at the right time, He will do it. And to be fair here, I've had my moments. There are times when I get angry too, and I have to do exactly what I'm prescribing here. And I urge you to join me. Don't be a pawn in their game. Let's bring our anger to God. And when we do, we position ourselves in a place where we can make the maximum difference for good. Okay, on to comments. I got this excellent comment from Nancy. I tell people there are two types of forgiveness that we are to do, and both were done from the cross. When there is no repentance on the other's part, we forgive, entrusting their fate to our Father. Perhaps they will turn, perhaps they won't, but as far as us, we entrust ourselves to Him, trusting that He will take care of us. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Number two, the second, we offer reconciliation, as if the offense never happened. Today, you will be with me in paradise. Aw, thanks, Nancy. I sure appreciate that insight. And I always appreciate it when any of you offer insights that help our growing community. Please put them in the comments along with your questions, ideas for more videos, or whatever else you want to talk about. Check the description in case I end up putting some goodies in there. Much love. Have a fantastic week.